Last week, a mistrial was declared in the shooting death of a black man, Walter Scott, by a white police officer in South Carolina. And it also marked the beginning of the trial of Dylann Roof, who admits killing 9 in a shooting rampage at the Mother Emanuel Church in Charleston. Both incidents have put a painful focus on race relations in the state, which we talked about with South Carolina Senator Tim Scott.
Donald Trump ran for president saying, I'm going to be the law and order president. How does that come across in the community?
Well, I think people define it differently, law and order. I see law and order as a good, constructive part of what makes a community safer. So my approach and my perspective is that a law and order type of environment will be conducive for a higher quality of life. You'll see more folks hopefully out in the streets enjoying their neighborhoods than you have in the past, and you'll have more law enforcement officers understanding and appreciating the communities by spending time getting to know those communities when there is no incident to come and investigate. So I'm fairly optimistic about that concept of law and order.
What some people heard when he talked about law and order was a kind of force first, a kind of escalation of fear about the community, about the inner cities. And some people believe that creates a state of fear that works against all the work you've been doing to try and create empathy.
I would hope not, and certainly people hear different things when they hear law and order. My hope is that what we'll do over time is we'll see that progress has not been stymied under a Trump administration, but we'll see that it has prospered. We're going to have to be very careful in what we do and what we say in circumstances so as to bring people together and not sow seeds that are poisonous.
Donald Trump knows how to put on a good show. We saw him do it with Carrier, and not only protected jobs, but sent a message to working people all across the country. What could he do on these sets of issues having to do with community relationships with police that would have that same kind of message-sending capability?
Well, one of the fastest things he could do that would bring about great change is to embrace our opportunity agenda that we've been working on for the last 3 or 4 years. It starts with understanding that every zip code in this country needs quality education. And if there's not a quality school in your neighborhood, we should make sure that there is one, whether that's charter schools or virtual schools or magnet schools or private schools. Realize that every student does not want to go to college. So having a dual track in education, you're too young to remember SHOP in high school.
I took SHOP.
Now we know that you can be on Face the Nation if you take SHOP. This is great.
So the only way you can get there.
So having that SHOP, that dual track, is a really important part of apprenticeship programs. Something that I believe that Donald Trump will focus on as president.
Is there something you can think of that would be symbolic, that would send that kind of strong signal that he sent with the Carrier operation?
Well, I think obviously spending time is perhaps the thing that you do that doesn't require legislation. It's how you use your time. We are intentional about using my time in a way that says to communities that have perhaps felt disenfranchised from the conservative movement, we care. We go there, we spend time, we listen. We don't come with solutions first. If Donald Trump will take the time and spend some time in Cleveland and Detroit and in Charleston and other places, I think he'll find that people are receptive to the person who invests their time, energy, and then their talents into solving problems.
You gave a speech back in July after the shootings in Baton Rouge and in Dallas, and you talked about, while there's so many officers that do good, you had experienced and seen those that did not.
In the course of 1 year, I've been stopped 7 times by law enforcement officers. Not 4, not 5, not 6, but 7 times in 1 year as an elected official. I have felt the anger, the frustration, the sadness, and the humiliation that comes with feeling like you're being targeted for nothing more than being just yourself.
What's been the reaction to that speech since then?
I think it's opened the eyes to a lot of folks who perhaps have listened to the cries and the screams and the shouts of others and disregarded those. And I think perhaps my speaking out on the issue has validated the concerns of many African American males who have gone through similar situations, but it has said to others on the other side that perhaps there's some validity to the issue and we should take a second look.
The conversation over race, and particularly where policing gets involved, gets hot pretty fast.
Absolutely.
How bad has the pushback been?
I mean, I think some folks believe that, it's been fairly aggressive without any question, but listen, the way I look at it is you either do the right thing for the right reasons or you don't. speaking out on something that is real is the right thing. Folks who believe that I'm feeding into a narrative, that's their problem, not mine. So I'm comfortable with where I am. It's not necessarily been a comfortable ride or journey, but it's been a necessary journey. But the good news is that disproportionately speaking, the response has been tremendously positive.
The story you're trying to tell goes back, it seems to me, to this idea of empathy, understanding that there are two views here.
Well, that's something I try to explain to both sides. Seek first to understand and then to be understood. Said differently, even those folks who, to be blunt, the black community leaders need to spend time doing ride-alongs with officers. You need to understand and appreciate the milliseconds that you may have in making decisions. You need to walk in those shoes for a little while. And by the same token, I encourage and sometimes aggressively encourage, spend some time in neighborhoods. I grew up in many of those neighborhoods. I was a poor kid in a single-parent household, living in a very small house. I understand the pain and the suffering, the challenges and the frustration. You got to know the people that you are responsible or placed in charge of.
There are a lot of people who feel not only that Donald Trump doesn't represent them, but people of color who believe that he actively played on fears in the African American community, basically in urban areas, played on fears to get elected. How do you bridge that gap?
Anyone who watched this election and did not see that fear was a part of both sides of the aisle missed the election. I think we would have the same conversation had Hillary won, by the way, just perhaps a different perspective, but the same conversation of fear and frustration. So what I say to folks is, let's give Mr. Trump a chance. Let's gauge progress in his administration by what he does. And I'm going to hold him accountable like every single American should hold all of our presidents accountable.
Charleston's had a tough couple of years.
Absolutely.
With Walter Scott and the Mother Emanuel Church. Where are things now?
There certainly are sensitive times. There are levels of frustration without any question. There's a lot of hope, though. African American and white pastors coming together, asking our community to show the same type of resolve that we did after the Walter Scott shooting, after the Mother Emanuel shooting. We are one cohesive Charleston family, and we say we're Charleston strong. So the goal is to remain confident in the judicial process. I am confident that justice will be done.
All right, Senator Scott, thanks so much.
Yes, sir. Look forward to talking with you again.